What would a social network look like in Plan 9? This is a draw term window connected to a 9 front system. And here I'm logged in as Glenda. I have this command typed out here, 9social menu. And I'm going to middle click menu. Alright, so we get a menu of options. So we see this first one says timeline. I'm going to middle click on timeline. When I do that, you see Acme says that it's running timeline, it completed, and we get our window with a timeline. And these are posts from people that I've subscribed to, or it's posts from myself as well. I'm using the username Dharmatech in the system. When you're looking at the output of timeline, these are all post summaries, so it's only showing a small part of the post. For example, this one right here from Dennis, we can click on the reference and then middle click open post, and then we can see the whole post. Some of these posts are replies. You can see the title here says the name Unix is sticking. So to get a better picture of posts and replies, I can middle click back on the menu, show threads, and it's running show threads. Okay, we've got our list. And if we look through here, we can see this post from Dennis, and Dharmatech replied to Dennis, so did Joe, and then Dharmatech replied to Joe. Alright, so I see this post from Joe. I'm going to click on the reference, middle click open post, and now we're looking at the whole thing. We can see in the tag for that, we have a command for reply. So I'm going to middle click reply. We get a new window. And I will go and left click on that to give us some more room. And down here, okay, so in this window, I've typed in a small message, consider talking to Doug McElroy about his pipes idea. And I will go to publish. All right, so that's doing its thing. We get another window that pops up, and I can close this output window. I can close the draft window. Now in 9social, everything is local first. So it wrote the post, it replied, but it has not updated the system yet, network-wise. So I'm going to close out these other windows. We're back to the menu. Let's say I went through my messages and I replied to a bunch of people. Everything is still local, right? So I can do push. So I'm going to middle click on that. And it's running push. We get some output. These might look familiar to people who use Git, because that's what's underlying all of this. And I'm going to close that window. Okay. I've pushed my changes out. Maybe other people have posted to their profiles, and so I can also do a middle click refresh. And let's see, I'm following Dennis and I'm following Joe, and so we see output related to updating their profiles. So I'll close that out, and now I'll go back to show threads. All right. Now in our threads view, we can see another reply to Joe. That's the one that I just replied. I'm going to click on the reference there and do open post. And there we can see the post I sent. Consider talking to Doug. Okay. I have another draw term window here, which is logged in as Joe. So if he goes to show threads and runs that, he'll see his post, but he won't see that reply that I sent yet. So what he can do is middle click refresh, 9social refresh, and it's going to do that same update. It's going to pull from Dennis. It's going to pull from Dharmatech. And now I'll close this window, and I will run show threads again. Okay, cool. So now we've got a new message from Dharmatech there. Click on that, do open post, and we can see the message that Dharmatech sent to Joe. Okay, so I'm going to close out the 9social menu, and we're back in the home directory for the Glenda account. I'm going to go in lib. So for those of you who are not familiar with Acme, I'll try to let you know what I'm clicking on and how I'm clicking on it. So to go into the lib directory, you right click in Acme, that opens it up. And then I have a directory in there for 9social. And we see a few things here. Self, I'm going to right click on that. This is the profile for Dharmatech. So if I right click on profile, you can see my username, my ID. If we go into posts, we can see a bunch of files there that correspond, well, one per post. So I can right click on one of these and you'll see the contents of the post there. There's this file following. If I open that up, you can just see the profiles of people that I'm following. And you can see there's one for Dennis, one for Joe. As you can see, these are just normal GitHub repositories. These are on GitHub, but of course they could be on any system that can host a GitHub repository. Now earlier when I did a 9social refresh, you saw that it was pulling from the different profiles that I follow. So to see where those go, I'm going to close this window out, and back in lib9social, I'll go into feeds, and there we can see a directory for every user that I'm following. So if we go into Dennis's, there you can see his profile and posts. Now to keep track of replies and to render the threads in a more efficient manner, we can go and take a look at the index directory. Inside there, there's a targets folder. And what you'll see here are post IDs that were targets of a reply. So if I open up one of these, for example, each of these is a directory, and there you can see a folder for replies, and there you can see one file per reply. And if we open that up, you can see the path to the reply. So in 9social, I think it's fair to call it decentralized. Each participating user has their profile as a GitHub repository, or I should say just a general Git repository. And so my view or experience of the network is a composition of whoever I'm following. I might see replies to people that I don't follow, but I won't see their posts. Now I do want to give a shout out to this project called orgsocial by Andros Fenorosa. orgsocial is also a decentralized social network, but over here, the way I was showing you, this is very Acme oriented. Their system is based on org mode. And when a user wants to participate, they have a single org mode file. So all of their posts go in a single org mode file, and they put it somewhere and they serve it over HTTP. Org files have a sort of a format, and all the post metadata goes in properties on each of their org nodes in that social file. So with orgsocial, it's using Emacs org mode over HTTP, and it's a single file. With 9social, it's Acme on Plan9 with one file per post, and everything's served over Git. So those are some differences there. So orgsocial, yeah, like I said, it's also a really cool project. I highly recommend checking it out. And it was very inspirational to what I'm messing around here with 9social. Nothing about the 9social design really makes it specific to Plan9 or Acme or anything like that. There could easily be a client for other OSs that have Git on them. There's a lot of things in Plan9 that will serve synthetic file systems. For example, if you look under /mnt, you can see things like web for the WebFS or WSys for different windows. But at this point with 9social, I'm not doing anything like that. Everything is just plain text files on the normal file system. So I have the source code for this stored under Glenda's directory under source 9social. I have a directory for bin, and everything's under 9social. So that's why a lot of the commands you saw are all prefixed with 9social. If you look at the profile for Glenda, so if you go to lib profile, I have a line in there for bind set up to bind that source code directory 9social bin into /bin. So under bin 9social, you can see a lot of the commands that are expected to be run by users, and under lib, you see some helper commands. All of these files here are RC scripts. So far, everything has been implemented in RC shell. So let me select this and middle click. All right, so far you can see it's about 2,500 lines of code. So 9social, being heavily dependent on Git, uses the Git client for 9front, and it's a really nice client implemented by Ori Bernstein. So yeah, amazing work by Ori on that. As far as why I picked Plan9 and Acme, I've known about Plan9 for over 20 years. This is my first time, I guess, really living in it. I've always been curious about Plan9. I've always been curious about really all the technologies that are in Plan9. So Acme, the RC shell, etc. So this was a way for me to explore all of these things. So I have not released the source code yet. I'd be happy to, but I think I'd like to clean up the implementation a little bit and maybe tighten up the design a little more. For now, I just wanted to show people what some of what I've been messing around with. All right, thanks for checking it out. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions.